Alright guys, how you doing? Well, did many people see that coming today? I feel like I did a little bit. Yesterday on Sky Sports News I was saying that this had potential banana skin written all over it. Early kick-off on the back of a Wednesday night game. Bournemouth had an extra day to prepare. They played Chelsea on Tuesday. I know Newcastle have got a good record in these early kick-offs, but something about this at home, sleepy, lunchtime kick-off in the hospitality area here. We were having soup before we had our cooked breakfast. So everything's a bit weird and messed up. And it felt a bit weird and messed up on the pitch for Newcastle today. I have to say, firstly, fair play to Bournemouth. I thought they were exceptional today. From the first kick, they were the better team. They looked like they were not just a yard ahead of Newcastle, 2 yards, 5 yards across the entire pitch. I spoke to a few Bournemouth fans before the game, a couple of my colleagues who cover the club, and all they kept saying to me was Bournemouth are beset by injury problems. They've got so many missing. I think in the last count they had 9 players missing. They had a replacement right back in on Tuesday against Chelsea in the shape of James Hill, who went off injured. They had to play Lewis Cook, a centre mid at right back. Their 2 strikers, Evan Nielsen and Unal, both injured and missing today. Outara, who's a left winger, comes in, plays through the middle. They just had injuries all over the pitch. But the 11 that took to the pitch, I have to say, were exceptional. They had nothing on the bench. Really interesting stat. 497 appearances between the Newcastle players on their bench today. 9 between the Bournemouth players on their bench. Nothing on the bench. Only Daniel Jebedson, who is a striker for them, loaned out to Watford and recalled purely because they're down to the bare bones. But yet they walk away with not just a victory, but an absolute thumping 4-1 victory. And as I said a moment ago, thoroughly deserved it from the start. Justin Kluivert will get the plaudits for his hat-trick, and what a hat-trick it was. He was so sharp, scoring 3 today, which was half the amount that his dad Patrick scored for Newcastle in a full year as a striker here at St James's Park, which again says everything, and another incredible stat that's come out of today's game. He will get the headlines, but I thought across the pitch they were brilliant. Semenyo, who of course we know Newcastle and particularly Paul Mitchell really likes, you can see why. He looked really, really sharp, powerful. He got the better of Livramento in that first half and the second as well, before he was moved over to left back and Trippier came on. Really good performance from him. Their back four, I know Cook was slotting in at right back, but I thought the other 3, thought Kerkez at left back. Tell you what, Newcastle would be doing themselves a favour if they were looking at someone like him. What a player he is at left back. And then the 2 centre halves, I can't pronounce his name, but the lad beginning with Z, apparently his brother is fighting in the Ukrainian army. He was phenomenal at centre back. Alongside Huijsen, and apparently Real Madrid are looking at him, and you can see exactly why. They had Alexander Isak in their pocket all day. I mean, I actually forgot Isak was playing. He hardly touched the ball. I thought against Wolves during the week, and I mentioned it a couple of times, and you know, I got a couple of strange looks when I said it, but I thought he didn't quite look on it against Wolves during the week. I know he scored 2, the first one deflected, and he looked powerful and he did his bit, but I thought against Wolves during the week he just wasn't quite as sharp as we've seen. It felt like he was having to work harder to try and make things happen, whereas he wasn't doing this gliding past players and skipping past them like they weren't there. For me, he got by and he scored 2, but for me, he took a step back from that today. He just didn't look on it at all. Looked tired, looked sluggish. Looked at times like his body language, like he didn't really want to be there, which is a strange thing to say for a guy who scored that many goals, but maybe it was just one too many games for him. And I think with what he's done over the last couple of months, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt, because he's been unbelievable, and you can't criticise him too much. But he just, from almost about 10-15 minutes in today, I thought he's not on it today. He's not going to do it. And it was the same across the team. Bruno, I mean, gave away the second goal. Great header for the equaliser, well done, but he gave away the second goal. That was without doubt his fault. I'm sure he'll hold his hands up and take the blame for that. But he just couldn't get the team going at all. I thought Joe Linton tried hard, but he was clumsy, kicked people, tried to cause fights, was more concentrated on the ugly side of things rather than actually the football side of things. I thought Tonali was the one in midfield for me that really tried to get everyone going and looked like he had a bit of freshness about him. But the rest, no. I have to say no. It was pretty grim viewing. And then at the back, I thought both Dan Burn and Botman struggled in that first half. Botman in particular on the right side looks like he's lost a couple of yards of pace. Is it the 2 games back to back? Probably. They're going to have to ease him back from that knee injury. They can't just expect him to just keep playing, and I think that's why Fabian Schär came on at half time. Again, the 2 fullbacks struggled throughout the pitch. You couldn't look at that. For me, the only one who got pass marks was probably Tonali. I thought across the board they were poor. I thought Murphy was poor. Gordon, I don't know what was up with Gordon today. Look, he couldn't even kick the ball. There was one opportunity to put across a free kick into the box, and he just hit the first man, and they just look really, really tired and shattered. And look, that's what will happen if you're playing in Europe. As we saw last season, if you're playing every couple of days, you've got games like this that are going to be really, really tiring, energy sapping. You've got to find a getaway to get away through it. Now, it's the same for Bournemouth. Bournemouth, yes, they had an extra day, and has that made a difference? Maybe it has made a bit of a percentage of a difference, but Bournemouth played Chelsea away, 2-2 draw on Tuesday night, and have come here, early kick-off on Saturday, and produced a performance like that with 9 players missing, no bench to choose from, a lot of their main players out, and you have to say they have dealt with the situation much better in Newcastle. I spoke to a friend of mine who's a Bournemouth fan before the game, and he said, look, we're missing all these players, but we're still been producing results. We're 10 matches unbeaten, but we are due a pumping. He said, we are due a pumping, and it'll probably come today. Well, actually, it was them that was doing the pumping, and it was Newcastle that took it, and it just felt like that from the start today. I have to say, I had the feeling beforehand that it could be a difficult one for Newcastle. I don't think anyone saw 4-1 coming, and yeah, Newcastle firmly put back in their place, and it felt very much like one game too many. And a friend of mine made a good point to me earlier when he said that Bournemouth today have done what Newcastle do to everyone else. They pressed them from the off. They had energy in their game. They shot from range. They got up in people's faces and made it difficult for them to play, and couldn't let them out to play, and they just were all over them like a rash. That's what Newcastle usually do. Bournemouth did it today, and then some, and thoroughly deserved that victory. Where did Newcastle go from here? Well, look, they've got a full week until their next game. It's a good game to have away at Southampton, I have to say. But if Newcastle are going to want to qualify for the Champions League or potentially be part of the push for winning the title, you need to win games like this, and that is why Newcastle won't win the league or be challenging to win the league, because you need to take care of games like this, and they didn't do that today. So look, I think it's a real reminder of what it takes at this level for the players right across the board. Newcastle had the players today, they had the squad, they had options off the bench. Yes, you're missing a few big players in the shape of Pope and Callum Wilson and Barnes, but you know, Pope's probably the only one that goes in the starting 11. Other than that, you've got your full strength 11 out there, and you've been absolutely bossed by Bournemouth, and you know, fair play to them for that. So big week for Newcastle, need to recover, need to make sure it's only 3 points. There was going to be one of those coming. It was just a shame today. It was the game that was the record breaker for them, and of course that 10th win in a row today would have broken the club record. Perhaps it was weighing too heavily on the players' shoulders, I don't know, but they look at Bournemouth and they dealt with the situation better. The coaching's great, the recruitment's unbelievable. Guys like Huijsen and Kerkez and Semenyo, and you know, they've got it right in terms of that. Newcastle would probably do them a favour or two by looking at some of those players and, you know, thinking, well, a couple of them might do a decent job here, although I don't want to get into the Paul Merson territory that's obviously irked you guys for a while now. So bad day at the office. What can you do? You can't do anything about it. You've got to park it, you've got to move on, you've got to make sure it's just one mistake, get a win at Southampton and a win at Fulham, and you're back on track again. But look, Bournemouth at home, these are matches. If you want to be lifting silverware come the end of the season, if you want to be challenging at the top of the table, you have to win. And Newcastle, for me, were taught a sorry lesson today, where it finished Newcastle 1, and no one saw this coming before. I did think Bournemouth would make it hard for them. Bournemouth 4. Cheers for watching, guys. Leave your comments below, and I'll have a look at them tomorrow. Cheers now.